Frank Leon Roberts is a longtime activist, organiser and the first professor to teach a Black Lives Matter seminar at New York University. He joins us from Bayonne, New Jersey on Skype. Frank Leon Roberts, welcome to the NewsHour here on Al Jazeera. Trump spokesman Hogan Gidley saying Mr. Trump did condemn the idea of white supremacists and white supremacy. I didn't hear it. Did you?
Of course not. And this is a classic case of don't believe your lying eyes. We saw what we saw and we heard what we heard. Donald Trump did not denounce white supremacy, but it's difficult to denounce a white supremacist if you are a white supremacist. And so Donald Trump has been extraordinarily consistent in his embrace of white supremacist ideology. And so for that reason, it should be of no surprise that he had such difficulty coming out against it.
The moderator, Chris Wallace, not the easiest television news presenting journalistic job on the planet right now, I guess, but when Chris Wallace asked him to condemn white supremacists, that was an open goal that Mr. Trump could have taken a shot at. If he condemned it, presumably he could have secured more votes, particularly in those bellwether, crucial swing states, if you will. Why didn't he take that opportunity? What does it say about him and his base that he chose to step back from that opportunity?
Absolutely. Well, you know, we have a saying in the African-American community coined by the poet Maya Angelou, who says, when people show you who they are, believe them. And so Donald Trump has shown the American people time and time again who he is on the question of race. From his involvement in the birtherism movement that alleged that Barack Obama was not a U.S. citizen, to his siding with the Nazis in Charlottesville, he has shown us that white supremacy is something that he sides with. Now, whether or not he himself is a white supremacist is almost irrelevant, because we know that he continues to at least cozy up to white supremacist ideologies. To the second part of your point, politically, he also understands that in America, there are many people who secretly harbor those type of feelings. And so Donald Trump, on the one hand, can't denounce the thing that he's attached to. And on the other hand, he also understands that that thing can be politically helpful for him in terms of winning the election if enough white supremacists come out to support their white supremacist president.
OK, there are hints or kind of off-the-radar calls in the past 24 hours since the debate for those Proud Boy-type people to, you know, if you will, in inverted commas, protect the polling stations on Election Day. Seriously, you know, one could look at the debate and laugh at what was said cynically in a worried sense, if you will, but are we heading towards a time where maybe we're going to see those Proud Boys on the back of their pickup trucks with their guns, wearing their camouflage gear, just protecting the democratic rights of people to cast their vote on November the 3rd?
Oh, absolutely. It is no laughing matter whatsoever. We know that already in states such as Virginia, we have seen essentially mobs of people engaging in voter intimidation. And so when the president of the United States winks and nods and tells a white militia group, stand by, we should believe that that group will in fact follow those orders. So I think we have every reason to be very concerned about what might happen on Election Day.
Mr. Trump also said, however, the real problem is with the far left and the fascist movement as he keeps on dog-whistling his way towards the name Antifa. Antifa, OK, it may be an idea, but it's not actually a thing. It's not actually an organisation that coalesces around one leader or several regional leaders. So how do you, when you're lecturing, when you're doing your job as a university professor, how do you explain the truth of that to the people you're talking to?
Well, Antifa, and let me just say in full disclosure, I am as left as you get, probably, in terms of my own personal ideology. And I, for one, as a leftist African-American man living in one of the most liberal cities in the United States, New York City, have never met anyone who's involved in Antifa. I wouldn't know an Antifa activist if they were standing beside me. I say that to say Antifa is largely a kind of right-wing construction that has been used as a fear tactic to promote this idea of a radical, out-of-control left. In reality, very few people know anything about Antifa, the ideology, or the people who supposedly speak out in favor of them. So it really is another kind of Fox News right-wing construction, as far as I'm concerned.
OK, now, Frank Leon Roberts, we've got two more of these things to get through. That's going to be interesting and exhausting in equal measure, I guess, and dangerous, perhaps. We've got two more of these to get through. Looking forward to the second one. That's more of a town hall meeting. But given the tone of the debate, the choreography, the optics surrounding the debate, how do they keep it looking like, feeling like a respectful, committed presidential debate between the two candidates? I mean, what did the next moderator, does that person have to use shock collars to get them to shut up and listen and engage with the questions?
Well, they have an impossible task because they have an impossible candidate in Donald Trump. So we should expect exactly what we saw at the first debate. We have no reason to believe that Donald Trump is going to be any different than what he's been for the last debate or the past 4 years or the past 70 years. So unfortunately, as I said, Donald Trump is showing us who he is. And so the question for the United States is, who are we? And that's the question that all Americans will have to go into the ballot box and decide on November 3rd, because we should expect exactly the same from Donald Trump tomorrow that he's gave us yesterday.
Very briefly, Frank, Biden's numbers were not shifting until 24 hours ago. They've moved a little bit in a positive direction, generally, taking ballpark figures after the debate. However, it's the college voting system as well. What do you say about America if on November the 4th it's another 4 years of Donald Trump?
It's a daunting and depressing prospect, but I think it's one that we should take very seriously as a very real possibility. Because we have to remember, Donald Trump is not simply a man, he is a movement. So the American people can get rid of Donald Trump as its president, but they can't necessarily until they get rid of the movement that he represents. There will always be something else. So we should have every reason to be concerned, and we should remember that Donald Trump is an American creation. And so it's not just one man, it's the movement that he represents. And whether or not that movement will come out on top on November 3rd, we'll all be watching.
And I guess everyone should get out and vote and don't carry a gun or ride around on a truck when you're doing it. Frank, a pleasure to talk to you. Frank Leon Roberts there from New Jersey.
Pleasure to talk to you.
OK, we have lots